Tonight on KGW News, a former teacher pleads with Portland School Board.
I am literally the poster child of what happens to teachers who just can't anymore.
As the union doubles down on its members to fight for a better deal. Plus, fresh start, old questions.
The tweets that I put out was wrong in 2011 and they're wrong today.
With the Timbers' new head coach forced to play defense. And when it comes to homelessness, Vancouver declares a state of emergency.
This is serious, and we expect it to be carried out.
So what will it actually change? Good evening, everyone. We begin at 11 with striking teachers sounding off to the Portland School Board. Thanks for joining us. I'm David Mulco. And while nearly a week into the strike, there are some signs of progress tonight. There was also still plenty of accusations. Catherine Cook was at that school board meeting. Catherine, what'd you learn?
Well, David, as expected, teachers repeated their top demands. Also, the president of the teachers union offered kudos to school board members for something they did today. Something she says the bargaining team has waited too long to see.
If Beaverton can do it, why can't PPS do it?
Portland teachers rallied outside district headquarters Tuesday night. They're asking for higher pay, smaller class sizes, more planning time, and better working conditions.
One more time for Great Girl.
It was their 5th day on strike.
I just want to go back to my classroom. I want a fair contract, and I want to be back with my students.
In part for what we're here tonight is to make sure that we're able to send a message to the Board of Education that we have united support from across the city for a fair and just contract.
After the rally, teachers filed into the school board meeting.
I am literally the poster child of what happens to teachers who just can't anymore.
Erin Savage was a PPS teacher for 16 years. She says she quit when the issues teachers are striking over now became too much for her.
I made my classroom a beautiful space, but it was laughable. Often a brick oven with windows that only opened 3-inch cracks. I taught barefoot to feel cooler. In the winter, knee-length down jackets were the norm. I would use an air canister to blow rat poop off keyboards and desks because we weren't even provided disinfecting wipes at that time.
District officials said during mediation Tuesday, both sides made progress around planning time for teachers, but not over wages or class size caps. Union President Angela Bonilla noted a different kind of breakthrough. Multiple school board members present during Tuesday's negotiations.
Today, because of the board members at the bargaining table for the first time in about 10 months, I felt like we finally had a breakthrough at the table. It is unfortunate that we had to wait until 40,000 students were out of school and 3,700 educators were on picket lines for us to see that breakthrough.
Earlier, school board member Julia Brim Edwards argued that board members have always been engaged and present during mediation sessions.
We're working hard to get a settlement that's fair to teachers, that's within our fixed budget, but also ensures that our kids get back in school and are doing what they do every day, which is learning in their classrooms with their teachers.
As negotiations continue, Erin Savage left board members with this to think about.
You have already lost me. Please don't also lose them.
There was a chance that negotiations would pause for the next 2 days because of a scheduling conflict with the mediator. But today, Governor Tina Kotek said her office was able to secure a mediator to stay at the table. That means negotiations will continue tomorrow and classes will once again be canceled. David.
Yeah, Catherine Cook in the newsroom tonight. Thanks so much, Catherine. Stay with KGW for continuing coverage of the Portland teachers strike, the latest as we move toward what both sides hope will be a deal on air, online, and on the KGW app. Let's get you caught up on tonight's other headlines now. Vancouver police are searching for the person they say shot a man this morning in a parking lot behind an office building. Authorities say they responded to shots fired around 6:30 near Northeast 28th Street and 138th Avenue. The victim, who we understand called for help from a convenience store, was taken to the hospital and will survive. No word on any arrests or suspects. We now know the name of the woman killed in a Sunday morning shooting in Cathedral Park. Portland police have identified her as 30-year-old Tyree Hernandez. A family member of Hernandez's called to report they had found her shot in a parking lot. She died from her injuries at that scene. Police say a vehicle connected to her was found burned later that morning along Marine Drive in northeast Portland. No arrests have been made. And a prison inmate is back in custody after he drove away from a job site on a golf cart. Corrections officials say Juan Castillo was on a work crew in Salem at the Central Distribution Center off I-5 and State Street around 10 this morning when he suddenly took off. Police caught up with him about 20 minutes later. Castillo is serving a sentence at Santiam State Prison for robbery and eluding police. The earliest he could be released is 2027. To Clark County now, where the city of Vancouver has just declared an emergency in response, it says, to its growing homeless and drug crises. Blair Best went to find out exactly what that means.
Sean Haswell moved his campsite from Portland to Vancouver for one reason.
I just wanted to get away from a big city. Portland, unfortunately, has become known nationwide as a city that you can come and camp and get high.
Now he stays in this lot outside Vancouver City Hall, where homeless people have been allowed to camp until now.
I'm cleaning the stuff up and I'm going to give some of my tents away.
On Tuesday, city officials pinned this notice to their tents. It says they have 1 week to move or they'll be arrested. And the city's response to this crisis is only getting stronger.
Everyone sat down and said, okay, what are our next steps? Because it's not getting better, it's getting worse, and it's getting worse rapidly.
So on Monday, they voted to create a homelessness emergency order.
We put a lot of confidence in the expectation that this will be enforced. We don't do this lightly, and you don't see a lot of these types of declarations come through.
I think it's been a crisis for a long time, and treating it like a crisis is going to make a big difference.
This emergency order allows the city to expedite opening more shelter, updates the rules around how police respond to homeless issues, and clarifies where people can and cannot camp.
It's cutting red tape to speed up the process for what our citizens are truly demanding. Solve this problem. Don't just better manage it.
Now, the city plans to move the people camping outside City Hall to this transitional housing site just a few blocks away. Now, the site is still under construction, but they hope to have people moved in by Thanksgiving.
I just want to be stable again, have a safe place where I can leave my stuff, go out and work, and return to a normal life.
Something the city hopes to help people like Haswell achieve.
This is important. This is special. This isn't just a political stunt. This is serious, and we expect it to be carried out, and it gives the staff the authority to do that, and it's done.
Blair Best reporting there. Vancouver has also signed 2 other emergency orders, including one that allows them to use a certain amount of public property for large sanctioned homeless camps. It is election night, and while there were no big races on the ballot for Oregon and Southwest Washington, many voters had a chance to weigh in on some important funding measures. Here's a look at where just a few of those stand right now. In Salem, residents voted on a proposal to tax their wages, with the money going to help pay for city services. Preliminary results, you see them there, have that measure feeling significantly, with 82% of votes counted so far against that tax. There were also several school taxes up for a vote. A levy that would continue to fund the North Clackamas School District is so far on track to pass. But a bond to repair schools and, in theory, increase safety in the Scappoose School District is failing. 72% of the early votes counted are against the proposal. Meanwhile, in Ohio, abortion access took center stage, with all Democrats won big in both Kentucky and Virginia. NBC's Alice Barr with the latest.
Results are rolling in on an election night, with races across the country carrying national implications for 2024. NBC News projecting that voters in Ohio approved a ballot measure enshrining abortion access in the state's constitution, adding to a string of ballot measure wins for abortion rights supporters since the overturning of Roe v. Wade, as voters on both sides look ahead to the presidential race.
And we've been made to believe that we are a lost cause, that we are a red state, but we are a rigged state, and just don't count Ohioans out anymore.
Is the question of reproductive rights something that's going to be a motivating factor for you in the next elections?
Yes. I think life is sacred, and so, man, whoever stands up for those who can't stand up for themselves, that's going to be a big factor in who I choose to vote for.
Ohio also voting to legalize recreational marijuana. In Kentucky, NBC News projecting Democratic Governor Andy Beshear held off a Republican challenger in a bright red state to win an expensive and hard-fought race.
I stand here excited and optimistic about what we're going to do these next 4 years together.
5 Republican presidential hopefuls closely watching the results as they prepare for a battle of their own, squaring off in the next GOP primary debate Wednesday night in Miami.
As we're all reading the tea leaves about what tonight's election results could mean for 2024, some new polling indicates potentially clear trouble for President Biden, showing him trailing former President Trump in several key battleground states. In Miami, Alice Barr, NBC News.
And speaking of the Republican debate here on NBC, a quick programming note. NBC Nightly News will air at 4:30 on Wednesday, followed by The Debate with Lester Holt and Kristen Welker at 5. And then we will join you at 8 for a special edition of KGW News, followed by your usual local headlines right here at 11. You're watching KGW News, and straight ahead at 11, the Timbers' new head coach forced to play defense on day one. Plus, the mountain-dwelling mammal that years after the Eagle Creek fire is once again thriving.
Eee! That's the noise they make, the pika. Love those little guys. Okay, we had clearing at the coast today and over the valleys too. That means fog will be forming. We've got dry weather on the way tomorrow, but it doesn't last long.